Hello, dear learner, welcome to PG Pathsala. This is paper 11 Cellular and Molecular Biophysics, module 22 Cell Signaling, Endocrine, Paracrine and Autocrine Loops. I am Dr. Karthikeyan Pettuswamy from All India Institute of Medical Sciences, New Delhi. After completing this module, you should be able to understand the need for cell to cell communication. You should be able to enlist the modes of cell signaling. You should be able to differentiate endocrine, paracrine and autocrine signaling. You should be able to enlist steps involved in hormonal signaling. You should be able to know the various second messengers and receptors involved in hormone signaling, and you should be able to tell the mechanism of cholera-toxin, mechanism of phosphodiesterase. You should be able to differentiate heterotrimeric GTpases from monomeric GTpases, and you should be able to differentiate receptor tyrosine kinase from non-receptor tyrosine kinases. Let us achieve all these objectives in this module. Let us begin with the question, why should cells communicate with each other? Cells must respond to the signals in their constantly changing environment. Communication between cells is important for both unicellular and multicellular organism. In unicellular organism, communication between two single celled organism is important for quorum sensing. In multicellular eukaryotic organism, intercell communication is important to maintain homeostasis, that means a constant environment. Let us define cell signaling. Cell signaling is a collection of events that lead to adaptive changes in organism in response to changes in their external environment. There are three steps involved in cell signaling, namely detection of the environmental stimulus, that is reception, transmission of the stimulus from outside to inside of the cell, that is transduction, generation of an intracellular response, that is response. Let us see these phases in detail. These are the salient features of cell signaling: specificity, amplification or cascade response, modularity, adaptation or desensitization, and integration and localized response. We will discuss them one by one. The first feature is specificity. Signal molecule fits binding site on its complementary receptor. Other signals do not fit. For example, glucagon can bind to glucagon receptor, but epinephrine cannot come and bind to glucagon receptor. So, the response is specific. Next feature is amplification. Let us consider the binding of glucagon. Glucagon binds to the G protein coupled receptor. Then it will activate the G protein, then it will activate adenylate cyclase, then it will activate protein kinase A, then protein kinase A will phosphorylate certain proteins. So, during this process there is amplification. See, one signal acts on one enzyme, but that enzyme will lead to amplification. So, there is chance of 1000-fold amplification during signal transduction. Okay. One protein kinase A can phosphorylate so many proteins. Next feature is modularity. All the proteins involved in cell signaling have modular domains. For example, in insulin mediated cell signaling, insulin binds to the receptor and it causes autophosphorylation of the receptor. These phosphotyrosine residues are bound by SH2 domain containing proteins. Similar to that, phosphoinositides are bound by plexstrine homology domain containing proteins. So, this is the modular structures. Okay. Proteins with multivalent affinities form diverse signaling complexes from interchangeable parts. Phosphorylation provides reversible points of interaction. I told you, right? Phosphotyrosine residues are bound by certain proteins. If there is no phosphorylation, this modular domain cannot come and bind. The next feature is adaptation. The receptors can be desensitized. Persistent stimulus of receptor by a ligand leads to desensitization. The receptor will stop responding. The next feature is integration. The signal from two molecules can converge to produce a unified response, that is integration. There are three major modes of cell signaling: signaling by cytoplasmic bridge and gap junction, signaling by secreted molecules, signaling by plasma membrane bound molecules, also known as juxtacrine signaling. Example is integrin ICAM interaction. In this module, we will mainly focus on the signaling by secreted molecules. There are three types of signaling by secreted molecules: endocrine, paracrine and autocrine. In endocrine signaling, signaling molecules called hormones act on target cells distant from their site of synthesis. Okay, distant, this is very important. Example, insulin is produced by beta cells of pancreas, okay, but it can act on distant sites like skeletal muscle, adipose tissue and all. Paracrine signaling. Here, the signaling molecules released by a cell can affect only target cells in close proximity to it. Example is signaling by fibroblast growth factor and transforming growth factor beta. Okay, here these molecules can affect tissues which are located nearby. Okay, they cannot go far beyond. In autocrine signaling, cells respond to substances released by themselves. For example, feedback regulation of hormone on the hormone producing cell itself is an example of autocrine signaling. Let us see the steps involved in endocrine signaling. First is the synthesis of the signaling molecule, that is the hormone, by the endocrine gland. Then the hormone is released by the signaling cell. The released hormone should be transported. There are transporting proteins. For example, steroid hormones are bound to certain globulins. Okay, these proteins are involved in the transport. Now, the transported hormone should bind to a specific receptor. Okay, then after that, the receptor can undergo certain conformational change like dimerization, oligomerization and all. After the hormone binds to the receptor, there should be initiation of intracellular signal transduction cascade by the activated receptor. So, this signal transduction leads to change in cellular metabolism, function, structure or development. But there should not be a continuous stimulation of the cell. The stimulus should be stopped in appropriate time so that receptor is deactivated. Removal of the signal which usually terminates the cellular response after appropriate time. We were talking about hormones, so it is important to know the difference between group 1 and group 2 hormones. Group 1 hormones are lipophilic in nature. Their receptors are present intracellularly. Why? Lipophilic hormones, they can cross the cell membrane easily. So, they don't need a receptor in the cell membrane. Their receptor should be located intracellularly. Their half-life is long. Example for group 1 hormones are steroids, thyroid hormones, calcitriol and retinoic acid. Group 2 hormones are hydrophilic in nature, so they cannot cross the cell membrane. So, obviously, their receptors should be located in the plasma membrane. Their half-life is short. Example is peptide hormones and catecholamines. Having learned the difference between these two groups of hormones, let us go to hormone receptors. Hormones specifically act on certain receptors. These receptors can be classified into G protein coupled receptor, receptor enzymes. There are again two types, receptor tyrosine kinases and receptor guanylyl cyclases, gated ion channels and nuclear receptor. So, these are the four major classes of receptors. There are separate modules for introduction of receptors and G protein coupled receptors and the diseases associated with them. So, here we will limit our discussion to a brief overview of these receptors. Let us begin with receptor enzymes. These are the receptors having associated enzymatic activity. There are two types we have already seen, receptor tyrosine kinases and receptor guanylyl cyclases. Binding of ligand to the receptor tyrosine kinases lead to phosphorylation of receptor's own tyrosine. That is why this is known as autophosphorylation. These phosphotyrosine residues are bound by proteins containing SH2 domain and the signaling proceeds. Examples for receptors with tyrosine kinase activity are insulin receptor, epidermal growth factor receptor, fibroblast growth factor receptor FGFR and vascular endothelial growth factor receptor VEGFR. Receptors with guanylyl cyclase activity are atrial natriuretic factor and guanylin. Atrial natriuretic factor or ANP is secreted in response to stretch of the cardiac atrial muscle fibers in response to volume overload. Here I want you to know the difference between the action of nitric oxide and ANF. Nitric oxide and ANF both acts through the second messenger cyclic GMP only, but how they produce cyclic GMP is different. Nitric oxide is lipid soluble, so it directly enters the cell and binds to the heme moiety of soluble guanylyl cyclase to produce cyclic GMP, while atrial natriuretic factor acts on the membrane bound receptor guanylyl cyclase. After knowing the receptor tyrosine kinases, I want you to know the non-receptor tyrosine kinases also. Janus kinase is an example of non-receptor tyrosine kinases. Look at the other examples. They are all involved in the signaling inside the immune cells. This table is very important. Here a comprehensive information is given about the first messenger, the receptor, second messenger, the enzyme producing the second messenger and the target of second messenger. So, here the information for cyclic AMP system, phosphoinositol system, cyclic GMP system and tyrosine kinase system is given. First messenger, they are usually hormones. Okay, the binding of hormone to the receptor produces second messenger. Okay, G protein coupled receptor, they produce as cyclic AMP, okay, GS or GI type. G protein coupled receptor GQ type is associated with phosphoinositol system, okay. Insulin receptor and other hormones, they are associated with tyrosine kinase receptors, okay. In G protein coupled receptor, GS stands for stimulatory type, GI stands for inhibitory type. Stimulatory type will produce cyclic AMP, GI type will inhibit the production of cyclic AMP. Cyclic AMP is produced by adenylyl cyclase and cyclic AMP will activate protein kinase A. In phosphoinositol system, phospholipase C is the second messenger. Here diacyl glycerol will activate protein kinase C and inositol triphosphate causes release of calcium. The signal once started needs to be terminated at appropriate time. Persistent activation or inactivation of the cell is not desirable. Alpha subunit of G proteins have inherent GTPase activity. Only GTP bound alpha subunit is active, GDP bound subunit is inactive. Phosphodiesterases are the enzymes that degrade cyclic AMP or cyclic GMP to 5' AMP and 5' GMP. These enzymes are involved in the termination of the signals generated by first messengers. Let us see about methyl xanthines. Caffeine, theophylline, theobromine, these are the methyl xanthine. So, these methyl xanthine, they inhibit phosphodiesterases, okay. There are so many types of phosphodiesterases, methyl xanthines inhibit all the types, but sildenafil, that is your Viagra, that inhibits phosphodiesterase 5 specifically. Phosphodiesterase 5 is specific for cyclic GMP, okay. That is why we use sildenafil for erectile dysfunction. Now, let me introduce the pathological basis of cholera toxin. First of all, I suggest you to watch signaling by G protein coupled receptor module to understand this, okay. Cholera toxin causes ADP ribosylation of GS subunit of heterotrimeric G protein. RAS is a family of monomeric GTPases. They are located in the cytoplasmic side. It is attached to the membrane by a single transmembrane alpha helix. The GTPase activity is in the cytoplasmic side. Receptor activation leads to dimerization of RAS, followed by replacement of GDP of RAS with GTP. GTP bound RAS is active and this will initiate further protein kinase cascade. So far we have discussed endocrine signaling. Now let us discuss the paracrine signaling. In paracrine signaling, signaling molecule released by a cell affect only target cells in close proximity to it. There are 4 major families which acts via paracrine signaling: fibroblast growth factor family, hedgehog family, WNT family, TGF beta superfamily. Paracrine signaling plays a very important role in normal as well as pathological processes. Now, let us discuss autocrine signaling. Autocrine signaling involves the secreted products affecting the processes in the cells that originally produced them. For example, many of the steroid hormone producing endocrine glands have the receptor for the same steroid hormone. Thus, the hormone initiates the autocrine signaling in the endocrine gland to provide feedback regulation. Let us understand the term autocrine loops. The cell produces a molecule which act on the same cell, stimulating the production of the same molecule. So, this creates a loop. Autocrine loops are involved in normal physiological as well as pathological processes. The physiological processes in which autocrine loop is involved are regeneration of liver, proliferation of antigen stimulated lymphocytes. Examples for pathological processes is autocrine loops in cancer. Growth factors and their receptors are overproduced by tumor cells and thus stimulating the proliferation of cancer cells. The final concept of this module is versatility of hormonal signaling. A hormone can act both by endocrine and paracrine manner, that is versatility. For example, leptin produced by adipose tissue acts on hypothalamus to regulate the food intake by endocrine manner. Leptin is also produced by anterior pituitary gland where it diffuses locally to influence the secretion of thyroid stimulating hormone. Thus, leptin acts both in endocrine and paracrine manner. Let us summarize what we have learned. Cell signaling is a collection of events that lead to adaptive changes in organisms in response to changes in their external environment. Reception, transduction and response are the three major steps involved in cell signaling. Cell signaling results 1000-fold amplification of the original signal. Persistent stimulation of the receptors leads to desensitization of the receptor. Signaling by secreted molecules is divided into endocrine, paracrine and autocrine signaling. G protein coupled receptor, receptor enzymes, gated ion channels and nuclear receptors are the four basic types of receptors. Second messengers are diffusible small molecules and are generated intracellularly upon hormone, that is your first messenger binding to the membrane receptor, which help in signal transduction. Cyclic AMP activates protein kinase A and this protein kinase A is inactivated by phosphodiesterases. Regeneration of liver and proliferation of antigen stimulated lymphocytes are examples of physiological autocrine loop. Thank you.